Facebook Live. Hey, everybody that was in our training before. We are back. We don't give up. We're just gonna, you guys will be able to watch us either live on Facebook or you're gonna catch the recording later. So, all right. I've already made you guys a co-host. Let me share my screen. We're gonna start this over again. All right, we're back again. Welcome to Pool Wash Training sponsored by Space Coast Pool School. I'm talked to Jon Temple and Robert last week with Plaster Logic and interviewed them for my podcast, Let's Talk About Pools. And he asked me, do you want to do this live training through Zoom? He had this video that he hadn't premiered yet on the whole steps, how pool wash works. And I was like, from what he described on the podcast episode, I'm like, to see a video, yeah, that would be awesome, because I even want to see it. So this is the month of March. This is the free training. We had started it. We had some weird stuff going on. So this is our start over. So you guys will be able to catch us live on Facebook, hopefully right now on Space Coast Pool School Facebook page. And I think Plaster Logic is going to also cross post it or whatever on their page as well. So you can catch it there. A little bit about me. I'm Lauren Broom. I'm with Space Coast Pool School. I'm a provider for Pool and Hot Tub Alliance certified pool operator, CPO courses. I offer in-person courses anywhere in Florida, either private classes. If you want a private class, contact me. Otherwise, I have open schedule for public classes. I also teach a 100% virtual CPO course online through Zoom. So again, if you are into that, that works out. There's my website, spacecoastpoolschool.com, my name, my phone number. So if you have anything, just want to put out there, after this, next month, I have Stenner Company coming in, doing a free training on Zoom. I'm gonna have to rework how that goes so that we don't have what happened today. So I'll figure that out so that maybe people can email me or something to get access if they're interested or something like that. So we can control who can come into the meeting. I'll have Jack's Magic on stain removal. I have Prominent coming in on ORP. And that kind of thing. So a lot of good stuff coming up. Go to my Facebook page. I'll post alerts in there when I have training coming up. I try to do reminders. So I want to welcome Jon Temple and Robert from Plaster Logic, and they're going to take it over from here. And they're going to talk about pool wash, which sounds really cool. It's awesome for the environment, safe for the employees using it. Much better alternative, it sounds to me, the acid wash. In my mind, I'm authorized OSHA trainer now, so I look at it as this is like meeting OSHA for safety of employees. It's safe for environment. EPA will love it, hopefully. So I'm going to pass it off to them, and they're going to start their presentation. Hi guys, how are you?
We're wonderful. How you doing?
Good. All right. Well, tell us about
we're going to talk about pool wash today, and we're going to talk about, yes, we meet our OSHA requirements, we meet our environmental requirements. This is a good product. I mean, this is why we made this product. We plaster 3,000 plus swimming pools a year, and we got tired of the problems caused by muriatic acid. When I look at all the Facebook pages and all the social media pages, all these problems are, well, you know, you got some plaster jobs that don't turn out right, but most of the things that I see are coming from the use of muriatic acid. Muriatic acid, when we start to when we start to talk about the problems that acid has caused to these swimming pool finishes, I mean, I can't see why most manufacturers are going to continue to let people use muriatic acid on their finishes. Feet print streaks, pH bounce, 28-day startups, all that stuff, that's caused by muriatic acid. We have the proof. We have 9,000 pools tested here in Jacksonville, not just here in Jacksonville, because the product's getting used in different countries now too, not just America. we're getting the same results. When you get away from muriatic acid, you're going to have a way better job. In this video that we're going to show you here, this is how we use it. And remember, this is not a manufacturer's representative showing how to use it. This is a pool that we plastered, that Robert and I plastered, and you're going to see us seeing how we use the pool wash on it and the steps we go through. Okay, so in the end of this, we'll have some questions and answers, and always we'll post these things. So if you have any other questions, just ask the questions and we'll answer them for you.
How can people get a hold of you, since we've closed the meeting for the issues that we had earlier with people hijacking our meeting and stuff like that? How can they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of Tyler Pate at templeinc.com. And you can get him at Tyler at templeinc.com, or you can call him at 904-361-3924. And he'll be able to answer all your questions, or you can follow us on our Facebook and all that too. And we'll post this also like you are, and type in the questions and we'll answer.
You can send messages.
I think that's the easiest way.
Yeah.
I think that's the easiest way. So people have questions. I know we had one in the chat box before we got hijacked. So if Chris Walton has his question, go ahead and contact. I think it was about a grinder that you were using in the video that'll be coming up, and the pad on it or something like that. So Chris Walton, if you're listening, please reach out to them. I know we didn't get a chance to answer your question. And any of the other people that really wanted to be in this training, please reach out to them so that you can get your questions answered, even though you're not able to be in the Zoom with us right now. All right, I'm going to let you guys go.
All right, we're going to start the video now. And remember, it's all about patience. There we go.
Okay, today we're going to do a pool wash. It's a dark pool, it's a French gray. What we're going to do when we get here, what we're going to start now is we're going to do a little pre-spot stuff. So any spots that I see up here, we had a little bit of puddling. I'm going to do a little pre-wash on that. I'm going to walk around, and any spots that I see that there's heavy cream, what I'm going to do is do a little pre-wash on it. This is where water sat at and brought up. Remember, your water needs calcium, so it's bringing the calcium out of the material. That's why you're seeing that white film out here. Whenever we're acid washing or using pool wash, what we're doing is we're removing this haze where water was on top of the surface, and it pulled the calcium out of the material, and it leaves that white haze. So what I do is come around any spot where it's heavy at, I just pre-treat it a little bit. This gives it a little bit more time to work on where there's more calcium, more of that haze. So I go around, I hit that, and then I walk around with my grinder, and I'll walk around, and if I see a spot that needs to be touched up, I'll touch it up now. Remember, I'm going to use this a few times, because the better I expose it, the better I hydrate it, the more spots I'm going to see that I need to touch up. What we're trying to do is the minute this pool, when we start watering this pool, we're done. We're not coming back out to grind on one little spot or touch something up. We want it done to where when the pool is filled up, we don't have to come back. We're using pool wash, so we're getting away from all this scaling and feet print and streaking, and we're going to make the pool look good. That's when you come around and you touch everything up with your grinder and whatnot, to where you don't have to come back and fix a little spot. Here in Jacksonville, Florida, our pool builders hold us accountable for, if the spot's as big as my thumbnail and they can see it from the deck, they want it repaired. So what we're going to try and do is after each stage of what we're doing in the pool wash, we're going to take our grinder and we're going to touch it up. Once I touch that up, I'm going to shoot a little pool wash on it. That way that pool wash is, when you're going to use your grinder, remember you're polishing it. So the texture is going to be different. If the texture is different, it'll look different. Now that's why I'll polish it and then put a little bit more pool wash on it so I can make it so you can see where we pre-spotted everything. You couldn't do that with muriatic acid. Remember, pool wash doesn't dissolve. It doesn't fix bad plastering. It just gets that haze off. That's all it's doing, is dissolving that haze. It's not, you're not exposing with pool wash. You're just making it look better. You're burning off all that haze. So two things I'm going to tell you before we get going is pool wash costs more than muriatic acid. So when people first get it there, how much does it cost? And you tell them, they're like, wow, well, muriatic acid is so much cheaper. Well, no, it's not, because what I do is you see this pump. This pump is set up to where once I get enough pool wash in the pool, I recycle it. So on this size pool right here, this is about 500 square foot. I would usually use about 8 or 9 gallons of acid, walk around and spray it on and then pump it out. Well, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to put in about 4.5 gallons and I'm going to recycle it using this pump system. I'm going to recycle it around 4 or 5 times to where I get the results I'm looking for. You don't have to, you just put enough product in the pool to where you can recycle it. It's actually cheaper than acid once you do that. So this machine we made to where you can apply this product evenly. Look at that. And I'm not going to burn that sun bench until a little bit later. I'm going to burn that last. Well, I'm going to pool wash it last. And as you can see, I'm not really too worried about getting some on that coping. Because remember, this isn't muriatic acid. This isn't dissolving concrete products. This is just getting that haze off. So all I'm trying to do now is saturate my finish. I'm just trying to saturate it. I'm trying to get it to where this finish absorbs this into those capillaries, into those pores, so I can get the results I'm looking for. And remember, while I'm doing this, I'm talking on the phone, I got all my equipment around me. I don't have a respirator on. I'm not choking, not coughing, not to it. It's a nice, even spray. Now, a lot of people, when they try and use this product, they'll say, oh, it doesn't look like it's burning. It doesn't look like it's etching the finish. Remember, we're not out here fixing bad plaster jobs with this. We're just removing that haze that causes all the scaling, all the streaking, and all the feet print. We're getting rid of that. So all we're doing is just walking around, removing this haze. If it hydrates more, you will see that it starts looking better and better. See this wall, you're getting darker spots and lighter spots. As you hydrate that, those spots will even out. A lot of people worry when they first start to use this because they're so used to muriatic acid. Have a little patience and you'll see the reason why we switched over 100%. remember, this product wasn't made by somebody that's not in the industry. This product's made by people that apply pool finishes every single day. You know, like us. You know, we came up with this product to help us. Most of the manufacturers will make a product to make money. We made this product to where it would help us. And made 3 rounds around this pool, and I've used 2 gallons is all I've used. But because of this applicator, it helps me spray this out nice and even. Now I'm going to get over here and put on the sun bits. Now, make sure you're watching this next move. This is very important. You saw me walking around in there. I've been walking on top of my pool wash and all, right? Here I am walking across the travertine deck because it doesn't hurt the travertine deck. I clean travertine decks and pavers with this product. So, I'm hitting the coping, any splatter that I've gotten on there. Look at that. Nice and even. There's no big puddles of acid running down these faces, making streaks or anything like that. So any spot that I hit that I see foams a little bit more, I can spray that a little bit harder and it dissolves that even more. So, you see that streak coming out of that, right? We're not even going to worry about that. We're going to take care of that when we brush it and pressure wash it. It's going to get rid of those streaks. So what I'm doing now is I'm just moving my pool wash around on this floor. Sometimes you get a little bit of that clean, or that dust, and you just want to break through it a little bit more. And that's what this is doing. It's helping just to cut through a little bit of stuff and cleaning it up a little bit better. I always like to make sure I'm doing the best job I can, and I'll always do this little extra stuff to make it look as best as we can. So once you get it all on, we're just doing a little bit of brushing to tighten it up. And the next thing is, while I'm brushing, I'm looking for spots that I'm going to have to do a little bit of grinding on. That's a cream spot. I'm going to cut through it with my grinder, and then when I recirculate my pool wash, it'll make it look all even. But while I'm brushing, I'm looking for spots that I'm going to need to address before I do my recycle on this pool. So you can see this spot where there's a little bit extra cream at. So I've done my pool wash and I've scrubbed it with my brush. Now I'm going to tighten this up. What it was, that came because there was some water problems in the pool and we had a lot of bleeders. So all I did was that quick, I fixed that. And then as I was brooming, I was looking for the areas that I saw I needed to address. And those are these areas. Nobody does a 100% perfect job. There's always some things to fix. You know, this This affords you that little bit of time to get everything fixed, so when you fill the pool up, you don't have to worry about it. It's easier to fix the pool when it's empty than it is when it's full. Spend some time. Do over your work. Be proud of it. Be proud of it. Now I had plenty of pool wash in here. And if you test the chemistry in the buckets before you put it in the applicator, it's going to give you one reading. It's going to give me the same reading right now after I've used it. So my pH and alkalinity haven't changed even though I've used it. So rather than throwing all that good product away, I'm going to recycle it with this pump. And I have it set up to where I could discharge it if I had a lot of water in here. But I'm just going to use my water hose to discharge it. On this water hose, I cut this hose down to 30 foot, and I have a connector where I can put on another 50 foot if I need it. Because you don't want all your product in the hose, and it's not enough to recirculate it. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to continue to hydrate. Now remember how that wall was looking earlier? Really blotchy? As I hydrate this, look at that. It's getting more even. And it's still going to get a little bit better. Remember, patience. Patience. Muriatic acid is causing not all, I mean, we all got problems that ain't coming from muriatic acid, but in the plaster industry, muriatic acid is what's killing you. Killing you. There's a lot of people out there that says, I don't think this stuff is, well, not a lot of people, but there's people out there that are pessimistic and say, I've been using muriatic acid my whole life. That's what I'm going to keep on using. Well, I'm doing a lot of pools, and one thing you really won't see is if you've got a pool plaster company owner that's doing 3,000 pools a year, he doesn't have a set of trials usually. I plaster swimming pools every day, and I come out and expose swimming pools every day. I prep swimming pools. I do the warranty. I talk to mad homeowners, talk to a lot of good plaster guys on the telephone. So this is what I do for a living. This isn't just somebody out trying to sell you something. I'm not even trying to sell you anything. I'm just trying to tell you how to use it and what the best luck that we've had. If you get to using this and you find a better way, man, I'd love for you to share that with me. I know that this isn't the way I'll be doing it in a few years. Hopefully I can get even better. But the more experience I get, the better I'm going to be. And a lot of that experience comes from the guys that I talk to that have different ways of using it. So I'm hydrating, hydrating, hydrating. You can see how that wall is starting to even out a lot more. So as I'm hydrating, I found another spot that I need to fix. So that's what I just did. Another thing is, when I get back to the shop, I'm going to talk to my foreman of this job, and I'm going to explain to him the areas, because I've got video of this job, of the areas that I want him to do a better job on. Remember, if you're a pool plaster, how many times have you went out and seen your pools after they were done? Have you ever acid washed them? Have you ever went out and started them up? Oh, they look great when you left. Well, after you leave and they dry, that's a whole different story. So I'm just recirculating this as much as I can. And remember that I'm just one guy out here doing the work, and this pool is going to take me about an hour and a half to do it. And I'm going to show you part of the reasons it's going to not take me so much time. I'm not in any hurry. I'm just walking around. One of the reasons why I'm not in a hurry is because I'm not coughing. I don't have a rag in my hand over my mouth and coughing on that muriatic. Here's a little math for us. I started out with 6 gallons, okay? I've got 1.5 gallons in there. Where are my other 4.5 gallons? I got a little bit on the floor where it's saturated, but all that extra material has been absorbed into the walls. So when you're using muriatic acid and you start off with 9 gallons and you only end up pumping out 4 or 5, where is that other product at? Is that muriatic acid? That muriatic acid, it's been absorbed into those walls. All right. If we had a couple more days and a lot more battery on this camera, we would start talking about a 28-day startup and why you get plaster dust. Plaster dust comes from low calcium water on the fill, and also all that muriatic acid that's been absorbed into that plaster. When you spray the shell down before you plaster, that shell absorbs that water. When you plaster that pool and you come back to acid wash or pool wash, that plaster absorbs that material into the walls. So if you just rinse this pool down and leave and you've washed it with muriatic acid, you've got problems with your startup. If you use 10 gallons of acid or 10 gallons of pool wash and you only got 1.5 gallons or 3 or 4 gallons left over, half of your material has been absorbed into your walls. This is an 18,000 gallon swimming pool. Imagine if you put 4 gallons of acid in here. What's that going to do to your pH? Where's that material? It's just been absorbed into the walls. That's what we're going to work on now. All right, so here, remember we talked about all that product, pool wash or muriatic acid getting absorbed into those walls. We're going to fix that now. And how we're going to fix that is with sodium bicarbonate. Remember, all I've done right here is I've rinsed everything down. Got a little water in the bowl. This is my recirculating pump. I'm going to put that into the bicarb. I'm going to start pre-dissolving that bicarb. That way it pumps easier. A lot of times you'll get a lot of foam in here and your pump won't work. You got to play with it a lot. This is one of the things that I've come up with that helped me. Hopefully somebody's watching this that'll be able to tell me a better way than fighting with this bicarb every day. So all that product has been absorbed. We're letting this pool dry a little bit. We're going to wash it down with sodium bicarbonate now so we can neutralize everything that's been absorbed into that finish. So if you neutralize all the pool wash or all the muriatic acid that's been absorbed into that wall, and you fill your pool up with balanced water, your calcium levels are balanced, your pH is good, and your alkalinity is good, there's no more plaster dust. There's no more spikes in pH. You're not going out there every day fighting your chemistry. The problem that makes it where we have to fight our chemistry is in the walls right now. That's why when we use 5 or 10 gallons of what we're ever using, and there's only half of that left to pump out, we've got to neutralize that half that's in there. That's where all your problems with startups and scaling and all that, that's where they're all coming from. So remember, I always reiterate this. I work for a living. Every single day I plaster or do this or prep pools or dye pools and fix stuff. This is what I do for a living. So I'm not just some guy that was selling main drain covers or something last week and now I'm selling the next best product. This is how I make a living. And I'm just going to hydrate this wall with bicarb. And look, I'm getting my coping, everything inside the fittings. Look how even that wall looks now. Remember it was blotchy when we started? That's why you got to have a little bit of patience. You know, you hear classes of Randy Dukes and everybody talking about hydration, hydration, hydration. We're hydrating that wall. Look at that. Man, that looks great. It's coming out even. And remember, we still have to pressure wash this. But we're going to show you a little trick that gets it to where you don't have all of that pressure washing time. We're going to use a brush in just a minute. But you feeling? Mm-hmm. So what I'm doing now, I've got to mix my bicarb up a little bit more. So I'm using the water in the bicarb. And remember, we want that bicarb to get sucked up into this finish. All of that material has been absorbed by this finish. We want to neutralize it. So we push it in to that finish. Now remember, everybody, there's some people that are saying, there's a lot of pessimistic people out there, and they're saying, well man, that's taking too long. It only takes me an hour or 30 minutes to acid wash a swimming pool. Well, it used to take me 30 minutes to acid wash a swimming pool too, and it would take me months sometimes to fix pools with hot starts, with low pH and low alkalinity exposure methods. Well, spend a little bit of time, and all those service guys that are saying it's bad plaster issues, you'll be able to pinpoint them. It's not bad plaster. So, a little bit of time. Little bit of time. So, now I'm got my pump working good with my bicarb, and I'm just rehydrating and bicarbing everything. I mean, you can't get enough bicarb on here. Now, if you look at my bicarb, you'll see it's not foaming anymore. That means we've neutralized everything. See, I can spray my coping and deck. I'm not getting out of the pool to hit that with this bicarb. I'm just neutralizing everything. I'm going to get up there in a second and brush that, but I'm in no hurry. And remember, I'm not going to pump anything out of this pool that's not neutral. So you can see my bicarb isn't bubbling, so that means it's quit working because it's neutralized everything. I'm doing that in the pool. I'm not putting a bucket of bicarb on the ground and pumping something into it and neutralizing it out there. It's all in the pool. Be a little bit responsible and don't pump out all your harsh chemicals into the yard. Keep them in the pool and neutralize them. Look, just taking my time. Taking my time. The more time you take with this bicarb and the next two steps, the less calls you're going to have. You're not going to be spending all that money out there doing those. Some people call it a hot startup. I call that a low alkalinity, low pH exposure method. That's not a startup. That's fixing a bad plaster job or a bad acid wash job. That's nothing to do with a startup. You can't fix a bad plaster job with a startup. A startup is making your water balanced. It's not fixing streaks and feet print or underexposed or overexposed areas. That's part of the plaster and exposure part. It's not part of the startup. Now, I have done some jobs. I've done a lot of jobs where I've had to do a low pH, low alkalinity exposure on them when the pool's full of water. You know, things are going to happen. Nobody's perfect. Taking my time. See the parts, look at that wall. That's perfectly even now. And remember, that didn't look that good when we first got here, but that wall is even. That's what you're going to look like when the pool is full. And remember, this wasn't a wand wash. This was a brush wash exposure on this pebble, not a wand wash. It's no much more different in how it looks, just the application, because there's some people that want to know if there's going to be a difference.
Nice.
Now, we haven't, when we were done using a pool wash, or if you were using acid, there were streaks in that wall. They're all gone because we've hydrated them with this bicarb, and it's washed them off. Look at that. There's no streaks. Hold on. Look at this floor. There's no streaks in this floor now. You can see where the natural water is running down, but there's no more of those black streaks. There's no more black streaks because, for one, we scrubbed it with the brushes while we were using a pool wash, and then we used this bicarb. The streaks are gone. And look, there's no fingerprint, there's no streaks, there's no nothing. But still yet, we're gonna, the same way that we scrub these walls and floor with the brushes, with the pool wash, we're gonna do it with the bicarb. And then we're gonna pressure wash. Now, a lot of people just pressure wash and it takes a long time to pressure wash. What you're doing when you're pressure washing is you're removing any of the oxidation that anything acidic has touched your dyes, has oxidized it. It's turned it dark. And that's on a white finish too, on a white pebble or white quartz. It's still going to oxidize the metals that's in that white cement. So when you pressure wash it, you're removing that. But it takes a lot longer to do. So what we do is we use the brooms. We've hydrated everything good. We're going to broom this whole thing down to get rid of about 99% of the oxidation. And then we're going to use a dual tip on our pressure washer. And I'm only using 3,500 PSI on my pressure washer. By bicarbing it and brushing it, we've taken off almost 99% of that oxidation. All we're doing with a pressure washer now is getting off any residue or dust. And look, that's not strong. See how quick we're doing that? Is this on? All right, so I started to wet it, but I didn't want to. See how there's no pressure washer lines really? I mean, you can barely light see them. You don't want pressure washer lines. If you're getting pressure washer lines, that means you didn't bicarb it and brush it good enough, okay? You don't need to spend that much time and that much pressure if you use the bicarb and you use the broom. A broom costs you 15 bucks. 6,000 PSI pressure washer costs you $10,000, $12,000. So bicarb, lightly brush. And look at this. When this pool is hydrated, there's not one mark. Everything is even. Let's hydrate this good. Now look at that finish. Perfect. This is I will not get a callback on this pool. Not get a callback. And you remember when we first started videoing this pool, we had this wall over here that was real blotchy and it just didn't look that good. There was a streak under that side suction, nothing. In front of this swim out, when we were using the pool wash, there were big streaks everywhere. There's none. Look how clean that tile is. We didn't scrub that. This pool wash cleans that tile perfectly. And you remember all the big streaks, those big black streaks that were on this floor? There's not one streak. There's not one footprint. There's nothing. All we got now is money because we're going to get paid. The only thing that can mess this up is just bad chemistry about a month and a half or 2 months from now. Water's going in it. We're good. We out.
Wow, that was awesome, Robert and John. We've got to unmute.
How was it? You guys like it?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
If you could just get a better model doing it, it'd be a lot better.
A better model.
Get Popeye off the wand there.
We need to teach Robert to do this. 1, 2, 3, go. Instead of John having to go. Is it on? Are you recording? You got it?
Yeah.
You got it? You got it now?
Yeah, we got authentic John. I want to watch anybody beat John in an arm wrestling race, because his nickname to me is Popeye. I've never seen a human being with bigger forearms in my life. That's because he continues to work. When Robert should be working, it's John's work, and he's troweling.
Somebody got to do the work. We all can't be Chris Waltons and Harold's, just sit around and count money all day.
In
We
my
gotta work.
swimsuit.
Yeah.
Ah,
That's a scary prospect. Hey,
stand up, Harold. Stand up,
No,
Harold.
I'm not doing it.
Stand up,
I
Harold.
don't have any hair
You
on my
see,
chin.
I know you are naked. Harold. I know it.
Not true. So
Oh
listen,
my God.
one
Hey.
of the things that will
Knock
screw
on
up-
that desk. Knock on that desk and tell John Vito to hurry up.
You have to stop it.
All right, so there was,
We got to up his ranking. Hey, so one of the things that will screw up that amazing exposure is aggressive water. And
Yes.
that's why the barrel startup is such an important part of it. This is not plugging, it's just reality. And I think that the thing that's always been, and I've seen this, of course, in person. I have videos myself from having watched this, and it's hard to visualize some of those things that I saw because it's lighting, there's all kinds of things.
Right.
The stuff that I did when I was there in Jacksonville, it was in your face where you could see the pigmentation, the dark, and then the exposure and how it looked. So that wasn't quite as vivid as it was to me in person. But I think the important distinction here is that, John, you're because of who you are and because of your reputation as a plaster guy, putting equal responsibility on everybody for the process is the point here, right? Don't hand me a job you want mopped up, calling it startup, and all that goes with it. And I think that's the most important message. I think that having everybody look at this thing for everybody's part of it. So the applicator has a part of it, the startup guy has a part of it, and chemicals don't fix, any one thing doesn't fix everything. It just doesn't.
Right.
So I think that part of it is great. And I think synergistically, everybody needs to kind of get together and understand that, and not be afraid if there is a brand that influences something. The brand's earned its reputation for it. If somebody else can do the same thing, then let them have at it. I mean, we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars figuring out the things that we have.
One of the things I think that's really key here is that we have a huge push in our industry for education and knowledge about gunite, shotcrete, steel, tile setting. And one of the things that I think is really missing is, and a lot of people have this stigma about this phrase, but Walmart theory. Okay, the Walmart theory in our consumers is basically, what are they buying the largest volume of, and what do they want the longest quality out of? That's going to be plaster. So we promote all of these, and forgive me for saying it, but these mosaic tile interiors and how fantastic they are, and you see these pictures, but that's like the smallest percentage of pools that are being built. The largest Yeah, exactly. So right now, I mean, I want to know, how do we promote this? Because I think you're absolutely right. If I'm participating in all the different forums that I'm in, I see the thing about trowel marks and hard troweling and things that are just, they're misdiagnosed left and right every single time. That doesn't mean that 9 times out of 10, it's not workmanship. That means that more than likely, you're going to have that one time that it was workmanship, but the rest of the time, it was just they overburned it, or it was too dry when they did the acid wash. So it was, those capillaries were completely saturated with the muriatic acid. And then, it was basically hiding the devil behind that you couldn't see, right?
I would like to address that. I think that's a good point. So one of the things that John can't fix is a porous gunite job that gets mirrored when you plaster, and that imperfection in the surface is because the substrate isn't sealed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of that has, and now we're going down the rabbit trail that everybody's afraid of, which is what gunite is, how strong, and why is anything coming through this wall in the first place. His plaster job with torches and plastering is not going to fix the fact that that's going to come right back to that spot that was wet, and there's going to be a discoloration in that spot that has absolutely nothing to do with startup, has nothing to do with plaster, has nothing to do with anything but the fact you had a porous gunite surface. So the problem here, Jon Temple knows this better than anybody, is who's going to cry fire in the hole and who wants to take responsibility. The people.
That's why, you know, we do so many pools, and we prep, we plaster, we start up, and we warranty, and we teach. So when somebody comes here for training, we teach them how to prep a pool, how to plaster a pool, how to use pool wash on a pool, how to start a pool up. And Chris, you're actually from Jacksonville, and Harold, you've been here enough to where we own 97% of this market in Jacksonville. 97% of the pools get done here. We do them. It's been that way for over 20 years. And I don't know if you could call it a benefit or a curse, but I have been taught by some of the pool builders with the most discipline, some of the most hardest to please, but very good guys. They've always held me accountable. You take John Garner. John Garner's known me since I was 13 years old. If John Garner's not happy with something, you're going to hear about it. Well, that's how I know my pool wash works. I keep John Garner happy, Jim Batts, John Clarkson. I keep some of the pool builders that are the highest level I've ever worked with around the world, and I keep them happy. That's how I keep, when somebody does it work, and I go, well, I can name you some of the top pool builders in my state, and they're extremely happy. That's all they use. So does it work? Yes, it works.
I had one question from Facebook when the Facebook Live was up about your process with pool wash. It was Jason Eckenrod, and he asked, what grit pad are you using on your grinder?
I use a 60 to 80 grit, because I don't want it too smooth. If you make your pebble too smooth, you will make it look flat to where it has no texture. So the water, the light in the water will reflect off of that spot differently, and it will highlight it. So even though it's blended in, the texture is different, and the light prisms, the light in the water will highlight that, and you'll think you've got a problem. It might even look lighter. It's not lighter, it's smoother. So don't make it too smooth.
And didn't we, when we talked on the podcast and I interviewed you, didn't you say that you use this pool wash like on your trucks and stuff too?
We will clean this pool wash. I clean all of my equipment. You know, I spend a lot. We build our own trucks here. We buy a truck and then we put our own mixers and pumps and all that on the back. You know, each one of my trucks is a $300,000+ truck. I keep it clean. I keep it clean with pool wash. I take it and put it on a rag and all I'm doing is getting rid of that dust. So I get it off my dashboards and stuff like that. I clean travertine with it, pavers with it. If there's any overspray from the wet guniters, the wet shotcrete guys, I can use my spray bottle and get it off the windows of the home.
Didn't you say that on top of it being safe for you to breathe in, it's also like if they have a screen enclosure, they're not getting like the rusting and stuff like that.
It's not rusting. You know, a lot of those aluminum screws aren't all aluminum now. So you get what we all thought were impurities in the pebble, and you were getting these rust spots in the pool. They were actually the heads of those aluminum screws that weren't all aluminum. And, you know, with the pool wash, you're not destroying the outdoor kitchens, the stainless steel. That's not all stainless steel anymore. The homeowners are out talking to you.
Another thing that we saw in the video was John not choking himself when he was doing it. You know, he was like talking normal, doing his thing, and you know
John, didn't you doing the pool wash and everything the way you've been doing it? When we talked, you said you reduced your warranties down like quite a bit.
Our warranty, I did last month. We did 180 pools. I had 2 warranty calls. I'm down to two warranty calls out of 180 pools.
That's awesome.
It was incredible. It was incredible. And we keep learning more and more things. We're booked up with training. We got people coming in from all over to learn pool wash.
Well,
and you know,
that's what I told you should be doing. I said, if you want to pay for it, you're already richer than Snot. you need to teach all the people out there how to do this.
That's what we're doing.
I
That's what
totally
you're best
agree.
at.
And it's
Totally agree.
all hands-on. We never let somebody come here and sit in the truck. They
Awesome.
are in the pool and they are applying the product. So,
So-
and that's what we want to do always.
So if
Lauren,
people
You ever
want
short-
that,
Hey, Chris, did you ever short one of his bills? Or were you afraid of Popeye?
No, I should be
John,
honest with you.
Lauren,
John, how
I never
can
looked-
somebody sign up for that training with you? If
if anybody calls Tyler Pate
Okay,
or sends them an email at tyler@tempoolink.com, we will get them up for training.
and they just come up to Jacksonville, enjoy a nice
They
day
come up
in
for, and they
Jacksonville,
better
Florida.
we had Tom Ingles from Stonescapes up here, and
Yeah.
we had him trial. He
By the way,
trialed a
it's
good
not
pool.
$3,000 a day, like it's $100 a day.
It's $100 a day per person, and that's what we charge.
Really, that's awesome. So
I
that's
think
good for the,
education should be
Yeah.
free, but we got to cover the administrative costs. So we're just trying to do better. And you know, I've made a lot of mistakes in the plaster industry. I don't think everybody else needs to make those mistakes. That's why I train.
thank you for
And,
thank you for being
That's a
on
big
today,
Thanks
part.
for
John.
having us,
At your
Lauren. You're
gig.
wonderful.